Yoma Hashimoto is the main antagonist of the spoke Kishibe Rohan. Originally a handsome young model, he becomes obsessively devoted to building the perfect body after being told that physical presence is crucial for success. His relentless training transforms him into an extraordinarily muscular and narcissistic man whose fixation on strength and speed consumes every aspect of his life. As his obsession grows, he abandons relationships, steals from his girlfriend, and even murders people he believes are interfering with his training. When he encounters Rohan Kishibe at a hotel gym, their rivalry escalates into a deadly treadmill race. Rohan eventually discovers that Yoma has become something more than human, possibly an avatar of the messenger god Hermes, embodying superhuman speed and physical perfection. Yoma serves as a terrifying example of how ambition and self-obsession can spiral into madness and violence. Let's see how he can achieve his physique, strength, and athleticism. Let's start with his physique. In the beginning of the episode, he wasn't that huge. In fact, he was skinny. At least that's how I view it. After working out and dedicating himself to the gym, he achieved an incredibly aesthetic body and a great muscle mass. Big shoulders, great V-taper, great arms, good legs, and the list goes on. Not just that, but throughout the entire episode, we saw more and more definition in his muscles. It goes without saying, Yoma Hashimoto is ripped. His body fat must be low, but not that low, because being too ripped can actually decrease your body's performance. So we will be around 10% body fat. Moving on to his strength. He does pull-ups with ease, though his form is questionable, but more impressive than his gym performance is his climbing performance. Bouldering is not easy, and I talk from experience. Of course there are levels, but hanging from the ceiling is no joke. His forearm strength is beyond impressive. Not just that, but his whole body must be packed with strength for this type of performance. Here in this case, strength and muscle mass are perfectly balanced. After all, he is the incarnation of Hermes, apparently. So for muscle mass and strength, we will do some compound movements and isolation. Of course, no combat style here because, well, there was no fighting. But something that was present and highly emphasized was endurance and speed. From his first endurance fight with Rohan, Yoma gained a lot of endurance, speed and muscle mass. He gained so much endurance and speed, he started disrespecting Rohan by running backwards. Plus, talking while running this fast for a long time is beyond impressive. So he's got endurance and speed for sure. The last thing I'll add is flexibility. It is known that being flexible is non-negotiable for climbing. Not just for climbing, but in general it's great for your range of motion, your recovery ability, and it helps you avoid injuries. Perfect, let's take a look at the workout plan. So it is presented as follows. The exercise, the number of sets times the number of reps. Only 1 or 2 working sets per exercise per day, because more than 2 will straight up damage the muscle and slow recovery in most cases. Some people may be fine with more, but it's generally at the beginning of their gym journey or on steroids or PEDs. Let's not forget that the nervous system recovers more slowly than the muscular system. It can take up to 72 plus hours to properly recover. So 1 day off between the workouts and maximum 2 working sets will help with recovery. For the number of sets, it is either 9 to 10 or max. The 9 to 10 rep range will give the most useful hypertrophy, giving a lot of mass and strength. The weighted exercises like pull-ups and dips especially get a lot of strength due to their weighted variation. And the max rep range is for maximum amount of reps or seconds. Let's start with upper one, weighted pull-ups. This will give a lot of strength and mass to the back muscles. This will be useful for climbing and overall back strength. Next, we have weighted dips. This will give strength and mass to the pecs, shoulders and triceps. This will be useful for climbing as well and will give overall pushing strength. If you can do them on the rings, it will be better since you need to stabilize yourself, thus creating more strength. After that, we have lateral raises. This will help with the boulder shoulders we want. You can either do them with cables or the classic dumbbell lateral raises. After we have reverse flies. This will give a nice and round shape to your shoulders and give more definition in the mid-back. You can either do them with cables or on the machine. Then, inclined biceps curls. This will bring the thickness of the arms we want. I recommend you set up the bench at an angle of 45 degrees to get the most optimal tension. And finally, do the dead hang to give endurance and strength to your forearms. If it's too easy, add weights to meet the maximum 60 seconds limit. Moving on to lower one, starting with leg extensions. This will build the splendid definition our quads need and will give us strength. If you can lean back a bit to get a better quad stretch, it will be perfect. Next we have seated leg curls. This is the best exercise in my opinion for hamstrings mass. The seated variation will also give strength. After that we have calf raises. This will give us pushing leg strength, running support and definition in the calves. After we have leg raises. You can either do them with your body hanging from the bar or with the supported arms. Either way, this will give your abs definition and mass and will also help when you'll have to climb. Do as many reps as possible. And finally, run for 30 minutes on a treadmill. Breathing only through your nose will give lasting endurance, but if you can't breathe through your nose only, breathe through your mouth. This will build the endurance we want. Alright, upper 2, starting with barbell rows. This will build the mid-back strength and definition. This will especially be useful for climbing. After that, we have incline bench press. This will build the upper part of the pecs and give us pushing strength. This will also target the front delts. If you have a big rib cage, set the bench at an angle of 45 degrees, and if you have a normal rib cage, set it at around 30 degrees. I recommend you do it with dumbbells to create more range of motion and definition. After, we have once again lateral raises for the boulder shoulders we want. Next, seated overhead press. I recommend you do it with an 80 degrees bench angle and with dumbbells. This will bring the last touch for the boulder shoulders we want. Then we have overhead triceps extension on the cables. In my opinion, the cables bring more tension than the classic skull crushers. This exercise will of course bring more thickness and a nice shape to your arms. And finally, once again, do the dead hang for maximum 60 seconds, to condition your forearms for endurance and strength. And last but not least, lower 2, starting once again with leg extensions. This will create a definition in your quadriceps. After that, seated leg curls, again for hamstrings mass. After, we have shrugs. I know the shrugs are an upper body exercise, but we did everything we had to do for legs, so we will put the traps here. This will give us the full look for the upper body. Next, do the hollow body hold. This will not bulk up your abs, but will give definition and core strength, vital for every type of sport. Hold the position as much as possible. And finally, do 30 minutes of progressive speed training. Here are 2 variations. First, you start with a random speed, you run for 3 minutes, then rest for 2. That is 1 set. For the next set, you set a different speed, depending on your previous set. Then you go again for 3 minutes of running and 2 minutes of rest. The second variation is as follows. You set a starting speed, and the speed progressively increases for 3 minutes. Then you rest for 2 minutes. If it's too easy, increase the speed. For the 2 minutes of rest, you can either be static or catch your breath while walking. Okay, now with all of this, there are some things you should know and apply. Always warm up before an exercise and give yourself 2 warm-up sets. Just go light and warm up the muscle gradually. Rest for 2 to 3 minutes between every set, and that is even the warm-up sets. 2 to 3 minutes will give you a proper recovery. At the end of every upper day, do 20 minutes of inclined walking on a treadmill or jump rope. The focus here is not endurance, but burning fat. On every rest day, stretch for 20 minutes and please keep the rest days. Don't add any workout or more endurance and speed training. Once again, if you don't give your nervous system at least 1 day off, it will fry and your recovery will be delayed, and so will be your results. So just chill and stretch. You can also stop drinking alcohol and stop smoking. This is bad for you as an athlete and will damage your whole body. With all of this, you need some serious nutrition. You need to know your BMR and TDEE, and based on this, you need to figure out if you need to be on a cut, bulk or maintenance. Yoma is extremely lean, to the point where his muscles create shadows, so being around the 10% body fat seems good to me. So if you are way above 10% body fat, be on a cut. If you are way under 10% body fat, be on a surplus. And if you are around 10% body fat, be on a maintenance or a slight surplus to equilibrate with the mass gained. The carbs and fat intake depends a lot if you are on a cut, bulk or maintenance. But for the protein intake, try being around your body weight in pounds. So if you are at 170 pounds, have around 170 grams of protein daily. Once again, this is general advice, but if you want, I made 2 videos that talk about nutrition. The first one talks about the basics of nutrition, macronutrients and micronutrients. And the second one talks about the gut-brain axis, the link between the brain and the gastrointestinal tract. And if you want to learn more things about your muscular system, check out my video on the matter. And of course, I made other physique videos, so you can find your perfect physique or make your own based on the models I provide. Ladies and gentlemen, that was everything I had to say. If you enjoyed, let me know it in the comments. If you want to see another physique on here, let me know it in the comments too. And we will meet next time for some other video. And like always, take care.